All right. Hi, everyone. It is officially graduation season. So, in the spirit, yeah. So, in the spirit of that season, I wanted to share another recent grad success story. And I'm here with Helen. And she graduated in 2017 from the University of Waterloo. So, she's already establishing her career and her success and has a couple of years of experience under her belt already, including with Microsoft and now with Colab, which is a project based learning program to help techies break into the technology industry. So, Helen, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Hi.
Excited to be
Yeah, so
here.
nice to meet you. And Helen and I, of course, networked on LinkedIn. I saw her on my friend Junette Colaroso's live. I don't know, that was probably 6 or 8 weeks ago, Helen?
More like months. I don't even
Months? Oh
remember.
gosh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that was like months ago. That was like 4 months
Okay.
ago.
Time flies, guys. I have no idea, but it is graduation season. And fun fact, I graduated 15 years ago this year. Holy cow. So I brought in the expert since it's been a minute since I graduated. So, Helen, I just want to chat with you and ask you some questions about your perspective now that you're on the other side of graduation. So, right off the bat, what is the main piece of advice you would give your graduated or your recent grad self 4 years
Mhm.
ago when you were leaving college?
I think it would honestly be to not silo yourself into what you feel like you can achieve. I know that when I was just graduated, I was very focused on, okay, this is what I spent my time studying, and I really need to find something that's relevant to that. And I feel like looking back, now what I do in the tech space is completely different to what I graduated with. So for reference, everyone, I actually graduated with an earth science major. And even throughout,
Wow.
yeah, even throughout that experience, I think I sort of knew that I wasn't going to continue with my earth science career. I just wasn't all about academia or like research. So I think really emphasizing and continuing to hone in on the point that, yeah, like you can discover new hobbies and interests anywhere you go and with whatever it is that you do, but it's about doing those things and also giving yourself the opportunity to discover what you're interested in outside of what you felt like you were interested in when you started your college degree.
Love that. Yes. And I say this a lot with other recent grad interviews I've done is that, you're not the same person you were 4 or 5 years
Mm.
ago, right? When you started college and then when you graduated. So quick follow up to that then, you said don't silo yourself and you discovered your passion for technology and you were an
Mhm.
earth science major. So what was one way that you explored that interest and that helped you land where you are now?
So for me, I was honestly very lucky enough to go to a school that also very much valued internships and just continuing to like try out different things prior to graduation. And so, I remember applying to a bunch of earth science related internships. I actually didn't get any because I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
have enough lab experience for most of the ones that I
Mm,
applied to. And so from there, my next internship was actually within the financial services. I did a minor in business. And so I was like, okay, well, here's this industry that's hiring a lot of interns. Let me go do some like data analysis, AKA manual data entry. And so
yeah.
I did that for a little bit as well, prior to jumping into tech at a
Okay.
later internship. And I think that for me, when I jumped into tech, I was a product manager intern at a company called Zynga. So they make mobile games, including like
Hmm.
Farmville, etc. That's when I realized that, whoa, okay, here's this new industry that none of my friends were in at that point. I wasn't really well versed in it at all, but I was able to do it and I was able to really enjoy it and decided that, okay, I should try to continue going down this path and see what I like from it.
Love that. Thank you. And thank you for just sharing what you said of um, that none of your friends were in that
Mhm.
industry. And so I'm going off script here a little bit. So would you be willing to touch on that? Because that is something that I talk with my clients about so often is, the pressure that we feel and what I always say, the shoulds that we
Mhm.
feel from friends and from parents, from family of what we need to be doing or should be doing. So how did that play into your exploration with your career of that your friends weren't doing that, but you were really interested in what you're doing now?
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely think at the time I was, again, sort of just this one person in my friend group that was bridging out of data entry within banks, and really discovering that, okay, I enjoyed tech, I want to continue doing it, I'm learning a lot, etc. And I mean, honestly, I think I just had to make some new friends, not as in,
That's
leaving
okay.
old friends
Yeah.
behind, but
Yeah.
also just sort of like growing within the space and being able to recognize that, wow, like relationships change over time as well. So I think that was one. Another thing that I'm noticing a lot more now that I've also, brought a lot of friends on board the tech train. A lot of my friends back then now are very into tech these days as well, just because it's a
Yay.
booming industry too. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that. But I think what is more interesting is, working at Microsoft as a product manager, which I did for around 5 years after graduation, to where I am now in terms of collab and like quitting that job and
Yeah.
jumping into entrepreneurship and like startups. I think that actually has a bigger role to play in terms of like friends and family not being on board and like feeling like it's a big jump. But I think at the end of the day, when you discover something that sort of has a pull, like even if your friends aren't involved in it yet, it's possible that they want to support you. They just don't know how just yet. And so I think always being able to like explain a little bit and give them some more details of like, hey, you should trust me, or like, here's what I learned, and sharing it with them always goes a long way.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm amen, like big freaking amen to that because no, honestly, and what I want to, there's so many things I want to point out with that, but being brave enough, like you said, to pursue your interest and explore it, even though your immediate friend group didn't quite understand, and to your point, being also brave enough and willing enough to introduce new friends into your circle that support that interest. And that's a huge part of this transition as you leave college, is recognizing that there's going to be the old and the new merging together, and you don't have to choose, you can blend them. So I love that you shared that. And she didn't say this, you guys, but I have to point out, she networked. She networked the heck out of her career. And she didn't say that, but that's how you explored your interest. You networked to find other people that supported what you wanted to do, and then expanded your network and now brought your friends into this new industry. So now I'm planting the seed as always about networking, you guys. Your friend base is a huge untapped resource for networking and a fantastic way to network without pressure. You already know these people. Go chat with them about their hobbies and their interests in a different way that you wouldn't have. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's so important because so much of our career is social and it's emotional, and we often don't talk about that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, definitely.
So what have you found has been one of the biggest challenges that you've experienced in making that transition as a student into the professional world in your career?
I think it's super interesting because I think, first of all, it's dependent on the role. For me personally, because I was jumping straight out of college into a product management role in particular, basically as a product manager, you need to be able to make recommendations and give proposals and sort of like lead the charge in ways. But especially as a new grad, I think sometimes that's hard to do because you enter a new company, you're in this new space, and there's all these new coworkers, and you're like, wait, am I ready? Am I good enough? But sometimes that's
Yeah.
also the role where, hey, like you are going to become the person that is ready and like good enough and knows the information to then make these recommendations. So I think the hardest thing for me was honestly to like recognize that, and to recognize that, like all of the skills that I gained during college, like through, attending events, meeting new people, organizing things, like all of those are very applicable into the real world. And it's important to not discount all of that experience that you already have, while recognizing that, yeah, there's like always going to be plenty more to learn and to grow from. So yeah, I think it was just that confidence aspect of knowing that, like, yeah, you have a lot to learn, but you also know a lot, which is why you got the job.
Yes. Lean into the fact that you got the job 100%. Again, so many gems that you just said. And a thing I want to point out as well that I kind of pulled out from all of those wonderful things that you just said was, you guys, she's talking a lot about her soft skills here. This is also something that my clients have a lot of fear around, that, if I don't have those hard data skills, what can I do with my soft skills? And there is a space for everyone in a career, and you can lean into that and make a really successful career. I'm an example of that too. Now, Helen does have the hard technical skills. Obviously, she's working in technology, but she also, as a product manager, those soft skills of communication, working with people, working across teams, leading the charge, like you just said, are what sets you apart and makes you really
Mhm.
successful. And I have made a almost 14-year career now on the foundation of soft skills, 100%. So thank you
Mhm.
for sharing that.
Yeah.
I need to like make a podcast, you guys. I could talk to Helen for hours. This is amazing.
And I would actually say that I don't feel like I have that many hard skills. Like I don't know how to code. But I still
That's
work on
okay.
like
Yeah. But
engineering teams and stuff like that. And so I definitely agree with everything you're saying of like, yeah, no, the soft skills make the career because the hard skills, like anyone can learn them, right? But soft skills are what sets you apart from everyone else. So
I want to mic drop it right there, but I have to ask you one more question. That was so good. That was so good. You touched on the fact that you stepped into your career in a regular world. We were not in a pandemic. It was not fully virtual. It is now, and this is something that I've been really talking about lately of how do you set yourself apart and distinguish yourself in a virtual world now, especially now as recent grads are stepping into their career entirely remote and virtual.
mhm.
So, what is one big tip that you have found as you've transitioned into fully remote work that you would give to recent grads who are trying to really establish themselves in the workplace right now?
Mhm. I mean, I think there's definitely pros and cons, such as with is the case with most things. So I mean, the pro now that we're fully or like more so remote is
Hmm.
just accessibility to people. I think being able to just hit someone up on LinkedIn and like research them and send them a cold email. That really goes a long way these days, especially if you send it to the right people who are also probably looking for personal connection. So
Hmm.
I think that's definitely a pro. But in terms of like actually standing out amongst all of those things, I think one tip that I have had and have sort of reaped the benefits of is from talking to one person, being able to ask them like, hey, what's a good person that I should talk to after I talk to you, um,
Yes.
and trying to get that sort of like soft intro to these types of one-on-ones. I mean, of course, like if you have a friend who recommends you to chat with another friend, usually there's a reason for that recommendation, and most people are more willing to like converse as a result. And then I would say that the other one that I have is really just showing up. I know that sounds like so
Yes.
generic, but it's also extremely true because you'd be surprised by the number of people that don't show up. And I think it's always okay to like give yourself slack and also recognize that, video call fatigue is 100% a thing. But, if you can, definitely go to the things that have networking components, attend sessions like this one, and
Yes.
interact with people in the chat when you like are watching a video together or anything like that, because those names really they do stand out and it makes a difference, and you do become happier I guess just knowing you're part of a community as well.
Love that. That is awesome. Again, so many good tips in there for how you all can set yourselves up for success as you move into your career and step out of your graduation and your full time role as a student into your full time role as a career professional. And sneak peek, what Helen just mentioned, I am going to be launching a networking workshop coming soon. So
Hmm.
all those tips and tricks you just said about what to do when you reach out or someone doesn't write you back, stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping that information really soon. So Helen, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your insight and what I want to get away from this term, but your non-traditional path into tech and all the success that you have. Congratulations. I'm really happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll be back soon with another recent grad success story.
Bye.